Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the City of Muskegon City Commission meeting for March 12th, 2013. We will be led in a short prayer by Reverend Bill Freeman of Harbor Unitarian Universalist Congregation, followed by the Pledge of Allegiance. Please, Reverend.
Let us lift our spirits. Spirit of love, known by many names, God and Goddess, Yahweh and Allah, Dios and divine, nature and nothing. May we be grateful for freedom. May we be grateful for liberty. May we be grateful for democracy. We pray that our elected leaders will act with justice. We pray that our elected leaders will act with compassion. We pray that our elected leaders will act with wisdom. And we especially pray that one day all people everywhere will enjoy peace on earth, goodwill toward all, now and forevermore. Let it be, blessed be, so be it, and amen.
I pledge
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Reverend Freeman. May we have the roll call, please?
Commissioner Turnquist?
Here.
Commissioner Markowski?
Here.
Mayor Gowron?
Here.
Commissioner Hood? Absent. Vice Mayor Spataro?
Here.
Commissioner German?
Here.
Commissioner Waringo?
Here.
Thank you. Could we have the consent agenda?
Approval of minutes, City Clerk. Summary request to approve minutes of the February 26th City Commission meeting and the February 28th Special City Commission meeting. Staff recommendation, approval of the minutes. Special event request, Muskegon Bike Time 2013 Planning and Economic Development. Summary request. Family Events has filed a special event application for the annual Bike Time Festival in downtown Muskegon to be held on July 18th, 19th, 20th, and 21st. Portions of the request require City Commission approval, including some items that are new for 2013 and some that are the same as in past years. They are requesting waiver of equipment rental fees, use of Bike Time's own labor pool when possible, extended beer tent hours, and variation from street closure times allowed per the special event policy. Staff recommendation, as in past years, it is recommended that staff be allowed to make the final decision regarding rental fees and actual costs to be coordinated through the city manager. In addition, staff recommends that if Bike Time picks up items such as picnic tables, bleachers, and trash cans for distribution at the proper locations, there will be no equipment rental charge to Bike Time. This must be first approved by and coordinated through city staff. It is also recommended that city staff review staffing levels for city personnel with the Bike Time staff, with the city making the final decision on the number of city staff needed for the event. Regarding street closures, staff recommends approval with the condition that Bike Time notify affected downtown businesses of the dates and times of street closures and the date and time that no parking restrictions go into effect on those streets. Implementation of Police Command contract retirement changes, finance. Summary request. The City Commission recently approved the 2013-2014 contract settlement with the Police Command Unit. To fully implement the retirement provisions of this contract, there are some additional steps required by MERS. Step 1, close the Police Command Unit's defined benefit pension plan to new members. Step 2, adopt the employer resolution establishing uniform transfer provision. This will allow promoting patrol officers who currently have a DB pension benefit to go into the command unit's DB plan even though it is closed. Note, this resolution may also apply to other situations in the city where an employee may go from one unit to another. For example, in the past we have had clerical unit employees become police officers or non-unit employees. This is not common but does occur. Step 3, adopt the MERS restated uniform defined benefit contract contribution program resolution and MERS restated defined contribution plan adoption agreement that provide for a new defined contribution retirement plan for the police command unit. The contract language will state, effective January 1st, 2013, all patrol unit members entering the command unit shall keep their pension and retirement packages from the patrol unit. Staff recommendation, approval of the steps outlined above and authorization for staff to execute documents needed to make this change. Water filtration plant, sodium hypochlorite feed pump replacement, Public Works. Summary request. Authorize staff to purchase two 520 U.S. Watson-Marlowe hose pumps from the sole source bidder, Mattoon Lee, for a sum of $10,880. Staff recommendation, authorize staff to purchase two 520 U.S. Watson-Marlowe hose pumps from the sole source bidder, Mattoon Lee, for a sum of $10,880. Consideration of bids for sanitary sewer lining engineering. Summary request. Award the city's portion of the county's bid to Lane Inliner LLC out of Hilliard, Ohio for $19,206 as per the engineer's recommendation for award. The city's portion consists of lining of 360 feet of 12-inch clay pipe in the alley south of Hackley between Beiler and Edgebrook. Staff recommendation, award the lining of the 12-inch sanitary sewer line to Lane Inliner LLC out of Hilliard, Ohio. Links Network request for permit under Metro Act engineering. Summary request. Approve the request for a permit from the Links Group and authorize the mayor to sign the unilateral permit form. Staff recommendation to approve the request for a permit to install fiber optics in the city's right-of-way along Layton Avenue from Getty to Creston. Water treatment plant sluice gates repair, water filtration. Summary request. Authorize staff to enter into a contract with Northwest Kent Mechanical Company to repair two clear well sluice gates for a cost of $9,400. Staff recommendation to contract with the lowest responsible bidder, Northwest Kent Mechanical Company, at a cost of $9,400 for repair of the water treatment plant clear well sluice gates. State of Michigan Public Act 399 Reliability Study, water filtration. Summary request. Authorize staff to enter into an agreement with FTC&H for the purpose of completing a reliability study of the water filtration plant for a cost of $37,562. Staff recommendation, authorize staff to enter into an agreement with FTC&H, the lowest responsible bidder, for a water plant reliability study for a cost of $37,562. Appointments to various boards and committees. City Clerk. Summary request. To approve the appointment of Nick Archer, William Muhammad, and Irene Navarro to the Citizens Police Review Board, Matthew Ty to the Construction Code Board of Appeals, and Steve Warmington Sr. to the Zoning Board of Appeals. Staff recommendation, approval of the appointments. Committee recommendation, the Community Relations Committee recommended the appointments at their March 11th meeting.
Thank you. Commissioners, you've heard the consent agreement. Are there any items you would like to have removed for further discussion? If not, I'll entertain a motion. Vice Mayor?
Seeing no items to be removed, I would move that we adopt the consent agenda as read.
Second.
It has been moved by the Vice Mayor, seconded by Commissioner Waringo, to accept the consent agenda as read. Any discussion? Not, roll call, please.
Commissioner Markowski? Yes. Mayor Gowron?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Spataro?
Yes.
Commissioner German?
Yes.
Commissioner Waringo?
Yes.
Commissioner Turnquist?
Yes.
Motion passes.
Thank you. Public hearings, please.
Recommendation for annual renewal of liquor licenses. City Clerk. Summary request. To adopt a resolution recommending non-renewal of those liquor licenses establishments who are in violation of Section 50-146 and 50-147 of the Code of Ordinances for the City of Muskegon. These establishments have been found to be in non-compliance with the City Code of Ordinances, and renewal of their liquor licenses should not be recommended by the City Commission. If any of these establishments come into compliance by March 22nd, 2013, they will be removed from this resolution, and recommendation for the renewal will be forwarded to the Liquor Control Commission. Staff recommendation, adoption of the resolution.
Thank you. Are there any members of the public that would like to speak to this issue? Yes, sir.
Good evening. My name's Joshua Eldon Brady. I live at 1336 Spring Street. When I saw the notice for the public hearing, I went and looked at Section 146 and 147, and in the past, it seemed to me that the non-recommendations always have had to do with not paying taxes, not paying city fees, fines, abatement charges, whatever. But there was also a reference in Section 147 to, I believe it's Section 148 or 149, the nuisance business ordinance. And it got me thinking. I did a bit of research the last couple weeks in preparation for the Board of Review My wife and I own several properties within a block of the community party store on the 1100 block of Wood Street. And I don't want to single them out. I use them because they're the one I know. In the last 18 years, there have been 6 houses on that block alone that the city's torn down, plus one across the street. There are 2 more right now on the dangerous building list awaiting demolition. We paid less than $2,000 for a house across the street, while another house across the street recently sold for $6,000. And the one other active business property in that stretch that has a new tenant this year, a Mexican store, that was Mexican grocery, that was for sale for most of last year, apparently couldn't find a buyer who was willing to pay enough to stop it from going into foreclosure for a $21,000 mortgage. So I'm looking at that and looking at what I hear from other people who live by some of these other party stores in the neighborhood, some of our other liquor license businesses. And my concern is we're not using our nuisance business ordinance, we're not using the threat of what you're voting on tonight, of recommending non-renewal, in order to try to get some of these businesses to do some more proactive things. That's not to say that none of them have done anything. If we're going to have the nuisance business ordinance, we need to use it, and we need to be more proactive on the liquor license renewals to look at businesses that are causing issues other than just not paying their taxes. Thank you.
Thank you, Josh.
Hello.
Good evening, Ken.
How you doing?
Good, thank you.
I have a couple businesses that have, they still have delinquencies, but they have set up some type of payment arrangements. And I just wanted to inform you, and normally you guys take them off the list if they have an agreement that I feel is something that they could do. I have Express Lane of 1992 South Getty. They have the Old Clover Bar and Tipsy Toad. They all within the last day or two come in and make significant payments on their back, real taxes or personal property taxes. And most of them, Tipsy Toad and Express Lane will probably be paid off by April. And the Old Clover Bar does have a payment agreement in place with the county treasurer's office that I told Ann to give you guys. So it's up to you to decide if you want to take them off the list. In the past, you have taken them off the list if they have some type of payment arrangement in place.
Thank you.
Just wanted to let you know. Any other questions? Okay, thank you.
Good, thank you, Ken. Are there any other members of the public that would like to speak to this issue? Ma'am.
My name is Cindy Pazunski, and I am the owner of the Tipsy Toad. What we're requesting and what we are trying to work out with Kenneth is that we have a 10-day extension, and then we should be able to be all caught up. So I just wanted to bring that forward.
Okay, thank you. Are there any other members of the public? If not, I'll entertain a motion to close the public hearing and move forward.
So moved.
Second.
It has been moved by...
Can I understand what is the motion just to close
Just
the
close
public hearing?
Okay. Then we'll need another one after that. The motion has been made by Commissioner Turnquist, and who seconded it? Commissioner German, to close the public hearing. Any discussion? Roll call, please.
Mayor Gowron,
Yes?
Vice Mayor Spataro,
Yes.
Commissioner German,
Yes.
Commissioner Waringo,
Yes.
Commissioner Turnquist,
Yes.
Commissioner Markowski.
Yes.
Motion passes.
Now, Vice Mayor.
Thank you. I would move that we adopt the resolution and respect the agreements worked out between staff and how should that be phrased?
Specific. It should include the specific
Removal.
With the exclusion of the Express Lane,
Yeah.
the Old Clover Bar, and Tipsy Toad.
Yeah. Whichever places you want to exclude.
Okay, so with the exceptions of the Express Lane, the Old Clover Bar, and the Tipsy Toad. So the motion is to concur with the, or to adopt the resolution with the exception of those three locations.
Second.
It has been moved by the Vice Mayor and seconded by Commissioner Waringo to approve the resolution. Where am I? To adopt the resolution recommending non-renewal of those liquor license establishments who are in violation, but removing the Express Lane, the Old Clover Bar, and Tipsy Toad. Any discussion?
I think you have a question.
Vice Mayor?
Thank you. Yeah, I just wanted to go on record that I had contact earlier this week from Ron Madison, who owns Rackets. He indicates that he will be in compliance within a few days. I explained to him who he needed to contact, so hopefully he will follow through on that. I also want to point out that this is an exercise we have to go through every year. And last year, one of the recommendations not to renew included CJ's on the Beach. And as we go through this process, given those who felt that somehow they should have been treated differently than all these other license holders, I just don't see how that would have been fair. I think we have a process that requires everybody to play by the same rules, and I don't think it's fair to one license holder to say, you're going to be playing by different rules than everybody else has to play by. Everybody else is doing what they need to do to be in good standing and have us recommend the renewal of their license, and I don't think we should pick and choose. We should follow the well-established process and honor those folks who meet their commitments. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, Vice Mayor. Commissioner Markowski?
Well, my question actually has to do with the owner of Tipsy Toad, who just stepped forward. She stated that she is planning to make her payment within 10 days, but wouldn't that actually fall within the agreement already included in the resolution? And therefore, I'm not sure that we should be excluding her if she's intending to pay, if it's 10 days from now, or if it's 10 days from the end of our resolution.
She did come in, though, and speak with staff, and on staff's recommendation that there is a clear contact and an arrangement being made. We follow through on it, such as this. Okay.
Bring that up.
Any other discussion or questions? Not, roll call, please.
Vice Mayor Spataro?
Yes.
Commissioner German?
Yes.
Commissioner Waringo?
Yes.
Commissioner Turnquist?
Yes.
Commissioner Markowski?
Yes.
Mayor Gowron?
Yes.
Motion passes.
Thank you. May we have new business, please?
Special event request, Lakeshore Art Festival, Planning and Economic Development, summer request. The Muskegon Lakeshore Chamber of Commerce has filed a special event application for the Lakeshore Art Festival to be held in downtown Muskegon on July 5th and 6th, 2013. A new group has taken over the event, and this is their first year. They are requesting to partner with the city and have the city sponsor a portion of the event. This would involve the waiver of city costs associated with public works labor and equipment rental charges, as well as costs for police services. Staff recommendation, staff recommends if the applicant organization picks up items such as picnic tables, barricades, and trash cans for distribution at the proper locations, the city will waive the equipment rental charges. This must be coordinated with staff, city staff. The city generally does not waive charges for police officers at events.
Thank you. Vice Mayor?
Thank you. So we may begin discussion. I would move that we use the same process regarding fees for the art festival that we use for bike time.
Second.
It has been moved by Commissioner Spataro and seconded by Commissioner Markowski to use the same fee schedule for the Lakeshore Art Festival as we use for bike time. Discussion.
I guess my question is, what fees did we use for those services before?
Yeah, please.
For bike time, and really for most of the festivals, we charge the actual cost for services, and there is not a waiver fees, but we do work with Bike Time to coordinate, so they use some of their labor, if you will, to get some of the equipment that they use, like picnic tables and other things like that. So there isn't the cost, and I think that's really what we're suggesting Lakeshore Art Festival do as well.
Okay.
But the things like the police services, Bike Time pays for those.
Okay.
So with the Vice Mayor's motion, does that put us in the same position as this recommendation?
Yeah.
Okay.
The staff recommendation,
Mhm, staff
but not
recommendation.
what is being asked for by the Lakeshore Art Festival.
Gotcha.
But Kathy's here to tell you more.
When did you sneak up on me?
I'm quiet tonight.
Oh.
I just want to make sure we're clear, because we have so many festivals, and I had the same question Commissioner German did now. What do we do for Bike Time? That what we have here in the staff recommendation is that we wouldn't charge, if they pick everything up, we would not charge to rent. Now, most of the time, we allow them to pick it up, which is less expensive for them than us taking it somewhere, but we still charge to rent the items. So I just want to make sure we're clear. And I will say also, we said we'd provide the cost approximate for DPW. The maximum would probably be about $2,000 to actually rent those things out, just so you have that for your information. So I just want to make sure if we're going to charge to rent the actual or not.
But the proposal, or the motion, is to charge the same way in which we charge Bike Time.
And Bike Time.
So if the motion passes, that's what we'll do.
Okay.
Vice Mayor?
Thank you. Yeah. The reason I made the motion the way I did is that it's really quite simple. We have a number of festivals. Some of them have been around for a long time, like the Art Festival, or at least its predecessor was around for 50 years. Some of them are brand new, like Coast West. And given our debates over providing services to our constituents that we've had over the past year, and I'm thinking about the discussion we'll probably have later tonight about trying to find a reasonable partner to continue some form of senior transit, it becomes very hard for me to start waiving fees when we're talking about significant dollars for one festival when we can't do that for everybody. We just don't have the resources. We don't have the resources we did 10 years ago to support events like that. Revenue sharing's been cut. The federal, we're going to get another cut with the Community Development Block Grant funding with the sequester, and that's just reality. We can't have low taxes and still have money to support events like this as a community if we're going to fill the potholes, keep the street lights turned on, and have police officers on patrol. So we have agreed to this set of supports for another fairly new festival. I think it's fair and reasonable to apply that standard to this request, and so that's why I made the motion I did. So it's half a loaf for them, I guess. Or maybe 3/4 of a loaf, but it's actually a pretty good deal for Bike Time, and hopefully it'll be a pretty good deal for the art fair.
Thank you. Commissioner Turnquist?
Using Bike Time as the standard and applying it to the Arts Festival, did that cause their rates to go up or go down?
Well, remind me, manager, please, with Bike Time, are we charging the,
Cause whose rates to go up?
The Art Festival, from what they're expecting to pay now, there was some dollar amounts in there.
Well, it would be more than what they've asked to pay.
They will be more.
It would be more than they asked to pay.
they don't want to pay anything,
Yeah, but they,
but if Bike Time is paying rent, are they paying rent for our equipment? I'd have to go back
Yeah.
and look and see. I understand the direction, I'd have
Every-
to look and see exactly what we're doing. with
Every
bike
festival
lane.
makes different requests,
Yeah.
and so it's hard to, I mean, we've tried to have a model that is one size fits all, but there are different needs for each festival.
Don't we have, if the event comes and picks up the equipment, takes it to the site, and then brings it back, there's no rental on picnic tables and things like, there isn't, there's still rental.
There's still
Yes, yeah.
unless those fees are waived. But it reduces their cost because they don't pay the labor.
They don't have to pay to deliver it.
And we let them set up barricades and that quite often, work with on no parking signs and some of those things.
We do have someone from the Lakeshore Art Festival, I believe. Carla Flanders. If you'd like to give some input, I'll allow that. You just come to the podium, give your name and address, please.
Carla Flanders, and I'm at 6711 Winter Creek. I presented a kind of overview to all of you today, and I just wanted to clarify a few things. Our request is not for the entire fee. We are requesting basically half of the fee, which if what was just referenced with the rental fees being applied or rental fees not being applied, I'm actually requesting less than the $2,000 for the rental fees. Does that make sense? And if you look at the total amount there that I have received from the DPW and the fire hydrants and the police, it is $3,140, and I'm requesting $1,500 as a in-kind kind of trade-off there. But I guess there's still a little bit of confusion. If we're not paying for the rentals, then that's less $2,000. But if we are paying for the rentals with some discounts, I'm not really sure how that's all working out. So maybe you guys can help clarify that for me.
Mr. Mayor?
Vice Mayor.
If I'm not mistaken, wouldn't these, I mean, because this is not from our staff, but I would assume that rental fee would include setup and breakdown costs, because it doesn't have the labor as a separate item there. So if my motion was adopted, it would reduce that cost, because if they're willing to do what others do, which is use their own labor to pick up and drop off the material, then they're just actually renting the item instead of paying for the labor. And that would probably get pretty close to the kind of cost reduction she's asking for. Might not be all the way there, but it would be fairly significant reduction.
Do we have any idea what part of the 2,000 is labor? Is it half or is it more?
My guess would be it's generally more than half, but I'm not certain. It's labor and equipment.
That was my understanding also, was labor and equipment.
So that would get the cost down closer to the,
Right.
what was your total number?
The total overall number that I got from the city?
Instead of the 31, what was it going to be that you're looking for?
I'm looking for a $1,500 reduction in that. Is what I'm
$1,500
asking
reduction.
for.
Commissioners, I think you really need to think about what you want to charge for, and not get hung up on what the cost might end up being, because I think some of you might remember another festival that we talked about a few years ago, and concern about how much the cost was going to be, and it ended up being a lot less, and that had a lot to do with what the actual services that were required from the city. And an estimate, we provide an estimate, and that's exactly what this is, and we provide the estimate based on what we're told is needed from the festival. Sometimes that ends up being less, and sometimes that ends up being more. I think you need to concentrate on what you want to charge for. Is it the cost of providing the equipment and the labor, or not at all? And not, as I said, get focused on what the actual cost might end up being.
Vice Mayor?
Thanks. Again, I would just say that the motion on the floor would reduce the cost of this festival based on our past practice in using the bike time as a model. What that actual cost reduction would be would, as the manager just described, be what the services they actually used. But, I mean, I've been here when we've been asked for actual cash outlays from festivals. We've been asked to have all the fees waived. That's really a door I don't want to reopen. Because every festival is usually worthwhile and usually has something positive that it brings to the community. And certainly if our budget was in a different place, we would probably be very happy to help them all. But we can't. And so I think this is a fair process. We have a precedent, in fact, a precedent that we just voted on a few moments ago. And I think that was a fair way to go with this festival's request as well. And I'll leave it at that. Thank you, Your Honor.
Do you have any other questions for me?
Any other questions? Okay, thank you. Any other discussion or input? If not, roll call, please.
Vice Mayor Spataro?
Yes.
Commissioner German?
Yes.
Commissioner Wieringo?
Yes.
Commissioner Turnquist?
Yes.
Commissioner Markowski?
Yes.
Mayor Gowron?
Yes.
Motion passes.
Thank you.
Excuse me, Mr. Mayor. Can we possibly remind the audience the procedure for speaking during actions? I think there's some confusion as to when and how they're able to do that.
Right. Well, what we'll do is, in
Some point.
this part, or, yeah, when we get to public.
Well, I just want people to know that if they submit, they're able to speak on an item on the agenda. And I don't think they know that.
At times, if allowed. Yes. Item B, please.
Grant application for sanitary sewer evaluation, engineering, summary request. Authorize Gleason Vandenbrink, FNV, to submit S2 planning grant application to the Michigan Department of Environmental Quality, soliciting funds to perform studies on the city's sanitary sewer collection system in 2 areas within the city, Clay Hill and Oak Grove. The studies will be performed to evaluate any I/IS inflow and infiltration with the aforementioned areas. Should FMV be successful in securing the grant, they would expect to be hired to perform the studies at a cost of $465,000. 90% of the engineering cost is covered by the grant, and the city's share would be $65,000. It is important to realize that should we proceed with the application and we get the grant, that we will be obligated to implement the recommendation within 3 years, and failure to do so will result in the city having to reimburse the state any grant funds spent. Staff recommendation, authorize FMV to submit the grant application on behalf of the city.
Okay, thank you. Can I get a motion so we may discuss?
So moved.
Second.
It has been moved by Commissioner Turnquist to authorize VNF and B to submit the grant application on behalf of the city. It's been seconded by Commissioner German. Mr. El Chattel.
Good evening to all of you. Just a quick correction, if you will. I think the clerk had a typo in there. The city share would be actually $46,000, not $65,000. My apology for that on behalf of the clerk's office.
Of course, that's a good mistake. It went down. Any question from the commission? Not roll call, please.
Commissioner German,
Yes.
Commissioner Waringo,
Yes.
Commissioner Turnquist,
Yes.
Commissioner Markowski,
Yes.
Mayor Gallren,
Yes.
Vice Mayor Spataro.
Yes.
Motion passes.
Leah, pull your microphone close.
Okay. Thank you. Item C.
Senior transit.
Thank you. We had discussion last night on the possibility of contractual arrangements with interested parties in partnering for a potential program for senior transit. Commissioner Markowski, can you flesh this out for us?
Do you want a motion or do you want information first? I would move that we would request city staff to initiate a contract with Wakefield Leasing Corporation for not more than $40,000 to provide senior transit to the residents of the city of Muskegon for a date not to pass the end of our next budget year. If that makes sense.
Beginning date?
Support.
To not go farther than the end of the next budget year.
Do you have a beginning
Oh,
date?
so it wouldn't be a full year, in other words.
We don't have a beginning date.
It wouldn't be the full year.
Might be more, actually.
And did you second,
I
Commissioner?
seconded
Okay.
that. You're talking, picking up, oh, I'm sorry.
We'll get to it.
I actually left it open, essentially because during that negotiation, I think we might be able to start something sooner than the beginning of our next budget year, but to be able to go through the entire cycle of the next budget, which is why I left it for an end date but not a beginning.
It has been moved by Commissioner Markowski to enter into a contractual agreement in the amount of $40,000 with Wakefield Transportation to provide senior transit. Beginning date is open at this point, but not to extend further than
What would be the July 1st of 2014?
June 30th,
June
2000.
30th?
June 30th of 2014. And it was seconded by Commissioner Turnquist. Discussion. Vice Mayor.
First, clarification on the motion. I think she said up to 40,000.
I
Right.
did.
Let's give staff a little flexibility.
Okay.
So it could be less, in other words.
Up to. Okay. Commissioner Turnquist?
The 40,000 we're talking about, that's an entire fiscal year that they presented to you.
That was what was presented. We requested in the RFP, essentially, for a 12-month program.
Okay.
And they were given in the RFP, they were requested to respond to a $25,000 subsidy or a $40,000 subsidy, and what could they provide for those amounts?
Any other?
Essentially, I mean, we had discussion on this yesterday.
Correct.
Based on what was presented to us, the information we had available, and what are the perceived needs of our residents, I think that their proposal meets those needs adequately, and our residents clearly had a request to provide services beyond what we're currently doing.
Okay. We do have an interested member of the public.
One more question?
Yes, Commissioner.
There were three of you that worked on this committee. One of them was a senior citizen.
Yes.
What was her or his reaction to the whole proposal?
That was Janet Nelson. She was a resident who came to several meetings when we were discussing it previously, and we met with both the other respondent, which was Matt's, as well as Wakefield Leasing, and we came to a consensus that the Matt system wasn't really giving us an option that was going to replace senior transit in the same manner. And that after meeting with Ms. Wakefield, we all seemed rather confident in her ability to do that program.
Mr. Al-Shatel, before I call a member of the public, did you want to give some input, please?
Just a clarification, if I may, Mr. Mazate, just a clarification that staff is also have the ability to work out the approvals and those steps. I mean, who's approved and.
Yeah, there's mechanics of
we have to work out, that's what I'm
the, of the arrangement that need to be worked out.
Right, and that's-
like we would with any contract as far as making sure, measurements, if you will.
Correct.
Yes.
Thank you. Mr. Mark Evans, I'll take input from you. If you could just have your name and address, please, sir.
Yeah, so my name's Mark Evans, 1899 Barnes Road. I'm the Senior Transportation Director for the American Red Cross. I've come and spoke with you several times on this issue over the last year. I've come to strongly urge you to restart your senior transportation program. Since the announcement of your curtailment of service, my service to City of Muskegon residents has increased, I hope, over 23%. We are essentially busting at the seams with clients right now. We obviously do not provide all the services that your senior transportation provides. We are strictly medical transportation. So considering we're not picking up all the folks who are in need of this service, you can see that there's a huge need out there. My staff is actually asking me if they can stop taking new clients because we just are so full. At this time, I've told them, don't do that. Continue to take them until we see what the city does. But, we do want to make sure that all the seniors get to where they need to go, and we'd like to help as many of them as we can, but unfortunately, we're turning away some of our longtime clients because it's a first-come, first-served service. And as you know, transportation is an expensive process for the senior transportation. As you may not know, the Red Cross transportation is not funded through general Red Cross dollars. It is a standalone program which I have to go out and find funding for. It's not easy. I'm also going to be dealing with some sequester issues. I'm out beating the bushes on a daily basis, beg, borrowing, and not stealing, but definitely doing everything I can to keep the program running. As I said, we only provide the medical transportation. There's just too many seniors for us to be able to help, and we do not help all the seniors that for all the needs that they have, like grocery shopping, that sort of stuff. So once again, I just strongly recommend, from my perspective, as also a transportation provider here in the city, that you folks help us out and help those seniors, very deserving seniors, get to where they need to go. Thank you for your time.
Thanks, Mark. Any other questions or input from the commission?
So, what is the cost for them to go one way?
The proposal that was provided to us at $40,000 was for $350 for a one-way ride within the same boundaries as the previous senior transit program. So it's a 50-cent increase from what the city was providing.
And this will be a 24-hour service? Or?
Yes.
No. Okay.
Any other questions or input? If not, roll call, please.
Sorry, just one quick thing. I did want to add that while I'm recommending Wakefield as opposed to the MAT system, we were very encouraged by what the MAT system is doing in regards to the Go Bus. And I really do want to encourage people to consider that as a service as well. I think we need all of the options on the table, not simply one service over another. And the Go Bus really is an outstanding service.
Very good point. Thank you.
One more question, Mr. Mayor.
Yes, sir.
The number that we have been using for the budget was anywhere up to, what was it, $80,000?
Yes.
$75,000 to $80,000. Is that a net number after people have paid their fares?
No.
No, but the cost is actually considerably higher than $80,000 because that does not include overhead, your time, Brian's time. Those are just the direct salaries of the drivers and the car rental.
Okay.
So it's
and the fuel.
The answer is no. It does not include. It's not net of the rent of the fare revenue, but nor does it include a lot of other indirect costs, which.
Okay. Roll call, please.
Commissioner Ringo?
Yes.
Commissioner Turnquist?
Yes.
Commissioner Markowski?
Yes.
Mayor Gowron?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Spataro?
Yes.
Commissioner German?
Yes.
Motion passes.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Is there any other business from the commissioner? Vice Mayor?
Just one item, and I'll lay this squarely at the feet of the Fourth Estate. I've been reading their articles on the discussion involving the proposed move of the farmers market, and I'm a little concerned about the tone of some of the discussion. And one item keeps coming up over and over again, and I want to address it. I want to address it here, and I'll probably post something on my Facebook page this weekend when I get a chance. As most people know, I'm not a real avid supporter of moving the market. I'm skeptical at best. I can be persuaded, but I think there are other things that we could do to help jumpstart redevelopment downtown. Having said that, I do not see this proposal as some sort of racist plot. I don't see it as an attempt to rob one neighborhood of their neighborhood market. I mean, let's be very clear on what we're talking about. The farmers market is a regional market. It's not the Jackson Hill market. It's not the city of Muskegon market. It is the greater Muskegon market, and quite frankly, it is the best farmers market in the whole region. And we may not have the nicest facility, but as far as the number of vendors and the quality of products that they provide, I would stack it up against any other farmers market in West Michigan. And quite frankly, the Wednesday flea market is even bigger than the farmers market. Moving that market from one site to another site that are visible from each other is not taking something away from one particular neighborhood. We're moving, or proposing to move, something from one part of downtown to another part of downtown, which is my main concern, because I don't see where we're going to have a massive change in benefit, because the market, I think, already does benefit downtown. Those types of businesses, like restaurants that cater to folks who might be stopping for breakfast before they go to the market or doing something afterward, I think already receive a benefit. You could argue whether or not there would be a significant difference by moving it what is the equivalent of about 6 to 7 blocks. So I look forward to hearing what the general markets users have to say, what the neighborhood users have to say, and what, and most importantly to me, because they are the market, without whom none of us have a place to shop, what the vendors have to say. And I am keeping my mind open, and I'm not going to do anything in the face of extreme opposition, particularly on the part of the vendors. But let's be upfront and respectful of each other on this. This is people of goodwill who are trying to do something positive for their community, and we can disagree on the method, but let's not cast aspersions on people's motives or on their character or those kinds of things that I have seen in article after article when people are commenting on this. We can disagree and still acknowledge the other person's a person of good character who's trying to do the right thing as they best see it. And I think that's a case that we're dealing with on this issue. And I just wanted to get that off my chest because it's really kind of bothered me how this has kind of gone into I think, a very damaging direction as far as the course of the debate. Thank you.
Thank you, Vice Mayor, and I appreciate you bringing up that these are people of goodwill, and the potential of such a significant gift to the people of Greater Muskegon, I think needs to be vetted and looked at. I do part company with you. I'm a full supporter of a new market for Muskegon. But I hope that the negative and I think extremely damaging arguments that hold no water can be lessened. And I'm glad that you brought that up. Thank you. Any other business from the commission? If not, I'll open up to public comment at this time. Mr. Jabbar Thomas. And just as a reminder, during public comment time, each individual is permitted 3 minutes to speak. Members of citizen organizations may be recognized and given 10 minutes. Per our commission policy, active campaigning is not permitted, though we have allowed people to introduce themselves just to say hi and what position they may be running for, but no political tomes or manifestos are permitted. But with that, Mr. Thomas, please, we just need your name and your address, sir.
Yeah, my name is Jabbar Thomas. I stay at 261 West Larch. And I just moved back there in January. And the one's been at the house. And I had a water bill there for $181.91. It got turned off in 2009. And I've been getting an estimated bill there. The guy there right there put over $1,400 on my taxes over there for water that I haven't used. You know, and I've been down here disputing this. I couldn't get no help. So I went to legal aid, and they told me to come before the board to see if somebody else can at least look at my water bill and see what I seen and exactly what he seen. You know, there's no way my water bill should be that high. When he got cut off on, he owed it $191. And then when I moved back in the house in 2013, they trying to make me pay for estimated water. And that's not right. You know, so I really would like somebody to take a look at it and see if they can get my bill straight.
And you have had staff contact?
Yes, I
since
have.
that? Okay.
No help.
And staff are available to report out as to contact with Mr. Thomas and
Sure.
give us an idea?
Sure. I can tell the city commission that Mr. Thomas has made contact with the city staff, talking to Mr. Smith, Mr. Paul, and myself on separate occasions. As Mr. Thomas said, the dispute is over, for the most part, over a delinquent water bill that has not been paid, dating back for several years, and that water bill went delinquent and has become a tax lien, and so it's become a lien on that property and has been turned over to the county treasurer's office for collection, and is subject to tax foreclosure if not paid. In addition to the water bill, there is also a special assessment from a previous sidewalk work that was done back in 2003, and installment payments, annual installment payments are placed on the tax bill as well. And so some of the charges that Mr. Thomas is talking about are sidewalk assessments as well. But he is correct. There is water bill that is delinquent that has been placed on his taxes. He disagrees with the charge. There has been, after the water was shut off, there has been evidence of additional usage, as evidenced by a reading that was taken in February of this year, showed almost 200 units of water that was used since the time that the water was turned off. But that aside, there is still the amount that is due or was placed on the taxes. The amount that would be a result of the new reading would not be subject of a delinquent water bill. It hasn't been billed, and is not a subject of the taxes. Mr. Thomas made mention of seeking legal aid. What I might suggest is that the city staff attempt to meet with Mr. Thomas and his representative from legal aid and attempt to work out some resolution of this matter. We're obviously not in an agreement of what is owed and how that how payment should occur, and perhaps by having discussion with his attorney from legal aid, we can work through this. That would be my suggestion.
Who would be the appropriate person to contact? Who should they contact on staff to arrange that?
Myself.
Mr. Thomas has been the owner of this property through the
No, sir.
entire question?
No, sir. I just bought the house at a backstage sale in 2006. And my sidewalk over there looked like a snake. Ain't no work been done over there. Out by the curb, that's broke up. If you come past my house, my sidewalk's like this. And they billing me for something that ain't no work been done over there. I just got the house in 2006.
But your main concern right now has been with the water.
That water, it done been overcharged for, and I've been charged multiple times for shut-off notices on this water, and H1557 multiple times. That it's just charged. It's unbelievable. You know, my house in foreclosure, Tony them over there at the tax place told me to come over here to have them to get this stuff off my house. And they even called over here to speak. But it's like it was to no help. It's only so much Tony them can do at the tax place.
Would you be amenable to making contact with your contact at Legal Services and having them contact Mr. Mazaid for further discussion to see about coming to resolution with this then?
Yeah, something gonna have to be done because it's ridiculous.
Okay, so tomorrow you can make contact with your representative at Legal Aid and then have him contact the city manager?
Tuesday. I'll have to get back with him next week.
Okay.
You gotta set up an appointment to talk to them.
All right. And then hopefully we can come to some type of positive conclusion on
Yeah,
this.
because I got a letter right here. That stuff was leaking. You know, and the pipes was broke over there. I got pictures. You know, so.
Make sure you have all that readily available.
I'll show him right there. He couldn't help
But with your Legal Aid contact. All right?
Yeah.
Okay, very good. Thank you, Mr. Thomas.
Mr. Mayor?
Yes.
Can I just make a comment? I appreciate that this gentleman brought this item to us. I realize sometimes there is frustration within services. And I think one of the things that people have the hardest time with in our community is navigating services. I think there are a lot of things out there to help people when either a mistake is made or simply there is a hardship. And so I appreciate that he's taking the time to work this out as opposed to simply taking out his anger in other means and being upset or not resolving it in some manner. So I just wanted to bring that up.
Is there any other members of the public that would like to speak? Sir?
I didn't fill out a request.
Oh, that's
I was a
fine.
little late to learn it here. The teacher in me makes me fill out a handout.
Thank you.
My name is Larry Page. I'm from 3328 Wilcox Avenue. Just a couple brief things. Number one, just a report to the commission on the melching suit. The hearing was held on the 21st of last month. The court found in favor of Mr. Melching, and in doing so, set aside the vote that was taken last November and nullified that, and found that in accordance with the law as it now stands in the state of Michigan, that citizens anywhere in Michigan cannot by initiative, by a vote, change the zoning of a piece of property. I've decided in the process of this, I was informed by the city's council that we could ask to have a standing to intervene in the suit that the city decided to defend, and myself and a Lakeside neighbor, Mrs. Eve Douglas, decided to do that. We
at a considerable personal expense, hired a lawyer. No expense, by the way. I've had some pushback in the online and that sort of thing, that this must have cost the city a lot of money for me to intervene. This was at my own expense, no expense on the part of the city. The judge did allow us to intervene in the case. We do have standing in the case, and because of that standing, we are allowed to file a appeal, right, which I have decided to do. We have decided to do. Right? So we are appealing the decision of the 14th Circuit Court to the Court of Appeals. That appeal may take some time. My lawyer tells me it may be a year to a year and a half, maybe 2 years before that appeal is heard, but it will be heard. Right? So I just wanted to bring you up to date on that. This whole court case is in fact not over, and it continues. I should let you know too that a gentleman who works with Mr. Melching contacted me by phone last week Sunday and suggested that this appeal would certainly cast a cloud over his ability. He's a broker, real estate broker. Cast a cloud over his ability to sell this property under I-2, and suggested that I might want to, for the good of the cause, drop the appeal. And I told him that I put a lot of time, effort, and money into gaining standing, and I'm certainly not willing to at this point drop that appeal. If in the future he and his client, Mr. Melching, would come to the city and sit down and arrange for a change of zoning out of I-2 into some other appropriate zoning, I certainly would consider a change of mind, and at that point potentially drop the appeal. I just want to bring you up to date as to where that whole thing is going. Also, last week, during the last commission meeting, Mayor Gowron and Commissioner Spataro both made a statement that we had to watch out, we, the city, and staff had to watch out for changing zoning to waterfront marine, because along with that change would come the unintended consequence of allowing aggregate to be stored on that property, which is something that we fought against when the property first went to Mr. Melching. That puzzled me. I didn't speak at the time because I wanted to do some research. I just passed out to you folks from the ordinance, the zoning ordinance, the requirements, the principal uses permitted, and also special land uses permitted. And I basically, if I'm missing something, I'd be happy to have to be educated on this. But I find nothing in waterfront marine use, either in principal uses or in special land uses permitted, that would permit the use or the storage of aggregate. Right? So if this is not true, that we can't put that there, one wonders about where the commissioners and the mayor got that information. And if it's not true, I would hope that the commissioners would issue a clarification on this.
You betcha. We'll do our homework and make sure I know what I'm talking about.
Thank you so much, and that's why I passed this out for
Okay.
homework. Thank you, sir.
All right, Larry.
Thank you for your time.
You betcha. Say hi to Gretchen. Are there any other members of the public that would like to speak? All right. I would like to ask for a motion to go into closed session pending litigation regarding Melching versus the city of Muskegon.
I would move that we enter into closed session to discuss pending litigation involving mulching versus the city of Muskegon.
Second.
It has been moved by the Vice Mayor, seconded by Commissioner Waringo, to go into closed session pending, to discuss pending litigation regarding mulching versus the city of Muskegon. Any discussion? Roll call, please.
Commissioner Turnquist?
Yes.
Commissioner Markowski?
Yes.
Mayor Gallagher?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Spataro?
Yes.
Commissioner German?
Yes.
Commissioner Waringo?
Yes.
Motion passes.
Thank you. We need a